Is it good? Okay, so we're gonna dissect cow eye. So here's our cow eye. So this is the cornea. It's supposed to be clear, but you know, preservative kind of screws with that. So yours is gonna have a varying amount of fat on the back. You're also gonna see the muscles that were cut. So these are those 6 extrinsic eye muscles that we use to move our eye around. So your first task is going to be to kind of clean this up, get the extra fat off, and so that you can clearly see your optic nerve better. See for that, for example. So one of the easiest, quickest ways to do this is you can use your scissors, do the scissor spreader method, kind of get in there in the fat, and then just start spreading. You'll be surprised by how tough the sclera is. You're not going to poke through the eyeball unless you're using the sharp end of your scissors or you're using your scalpel, which there's only one time today when you get to use your, or when you should use your scalpel. So see how I'm just separating this just fat and connective tissue just by doing the scissor spreader? Okay, and you can also, ideally, you want to get off as much as possible to see the actual size of the eyeball. So I'm just holding the tissue, separating. Once I know I've separated it, then I can cut. And you can get all the way up to the eyelid and trim around it. Okay, so I want you to work on cleaning that for a little bit, and then then we'll go to the next step. Okay, so here's a quick update. I took off the outer layer of fat and connective tissue and muscle. And so one of the things I did the scissor spreader all the way up to the eyelid. Focus, okay, there we go. And then I was able to trim all the way around. So I got rid of the outer muscular layer and the outer kind of fat pad, which everybody has. But notice there's still muscle here. So I think I have, I'm not sure if it's 2 or 3 more of the those extrinsic eye muscles, but you can see them better now, like a nice flat sheet here attached to the sclera of the eye. And in the center, there's your optic nerve. So I'm going to try to get the rest of those muscles off, so all we can see is the eyeball and the optic nerve. Okay? So if you need help, please let us know. Okay? Alright, so you want to see what it looked like without the stuff. I just got it pretty cleaned off. So there, someone's looking at you. How do you feel about that? I got my eye on you. Okay. Thank you. Alright, so I got most of this stuff off. There's still a little bit of connective tissue, but I'm not going to worry about it too much. So I got, hey you guys, hush up back there. Is that Jeremy?
Yeah, it's always
Jeremy.
It's always Jeremy.
Okay, so, hush. Okay, so cleaned off those last muscles. You can see the optic nerve pretty well now. Yeah, there's still some tissue. I am not going to stress out about it because it doesn't need to be completely bald. So you want to get it fairly clean so that you can see pretty well around the cornea, see the wall. In about a couple minutes, I'm going to show you guys how to open up the eye, and then you can continue on from there at your own pace. Okay? Okay, so got this guy cleaned up a little bit more. By the way, I never touched this pad because there's eye and brain juice all over it, just so you know. Okay, so got him pretty cleaned up. I'm kind of proud of that. Look at that optic nerve. Woo-hoo. Okay, so this part of the eye, what is it called? The cornea. It's all part of the outer fibrous layer, and so where it's not clear, the white is called what? It's the sclera, okay? And so it's continuous with the cornea, except for the fact that the cornea is clear, okay? I can kind of see the lens in there. All right, so what you do, so hopefully this whole time you've been using your scissors to clean, because those are the best. This is one of the few times where I'm okay with using a scalpel. Actually, let me see if this one is... I'm going to use the smaller one. It seems to be sharper. Okay, so what I'm going to do, Got my scalpel. I'm going to estimate about 1 centimeter behind the edge of the cornea. Okay, so here, you guys are going to, if you want it to work out, you're going to want to pay attention. Okay, so you want to go about 1 centimeter or so behind the cornea. You'll take your scalpel, and it actually will take a little bit of force. You're going to poke through, and I'm not going to cut all the way around with my scalpel. I'm going to make a nice little hole there. So then I'm going to put my scalpel safely down, get my scissors, blunt end down, go into that hole I made, and then I'm going to just snip around that, keep that same distance around the cornea, and snip around if it doesn't slip. And then blunt end is always important to have in, okay? Why would we not want to use the sharp end in?
We don't cut stuff on the inside.
Yeah, you cut stuff on the inside. Okay. Almost there. Trying to keep it in there. Come on. All right. I think I got it. So, now I can take off. Ha! Nice. Okay, so the jello-ish stuff that's stuck to the front, that's called your vitreous humor. It's kind of like jello jiggler. Okay? But in the back, so it has left behind the retina, and the retina's actually started to detach. So you see this, like, it's kind of a opaque membrane. That's the retina. And one really cool thing, let me see if I back up just a little bit. So the retina is a very delicate membrane. And so when you pull it back, it does, so people say they have retinal detachment. You can see that it can happen. This jello-y substance, the vitreous humor, helps to hold it in place. But in the back of animals that are especially nocturnal, you'll get this really pretty reflective back. So when you do yours, you might see this kind of turquoise and blue. It's really pretty. I'm trying to get it to reflect for you. It's not going to reflect very well. It's called the tapetum lucidum. So that helps reflect back any light that does enter the eye for animals that see more at night. And then notice the retina, it's all attached to this one spot here. Where do you think that attachment is? Yeah, it's where the optic nerve forms. Okay? So I'm going to put that down. Now, I'm going to grab my blunt probe. So sometimes when I open up the eye, this jello thing just falls right out, but it's kind of attached to the front of the eye a little bit this time. Okay, so what I'm going to have to do, there we go. So for some reason the lens is attached. Okay, so that kind of, it's really attached to the lens. It's really interesting. So, not supposed to. So what you can do just to get it off, if it does attach to the lens. Oh, by the way, do you see those little fine lines there, those black lines? Those are the suspensory ligaments that hold the lens in place. Okay? And so you can see some more on this. It's that black ring right here. That's the ciliary body, the muscle that the suspensory ligaments attach it to. And so that, when it relaxes or contracts, changes the shape of the lens so that you can focus. Okay, so I am getting off this vitreous humor. You can see the suspensory ligaments don't want to come off very well. They're staying on. Okay, so the lens would normally be opaque, would normally be clear. Okay, but again, it's preserved. This is the lens of the eye, so you have some suspensory ligaments still attached. It's not as flexible as it once was. I mean, there's a tiny bit of give if you squeeze it. Yeah, remember it. So, and it's in your eye this way, so it's not as flexible. Yes, when you're all done, you can try to cut it. That's fine. Okay, last little thing here. So we have the ciliary body that the lens was attached to, this nice round muscle. And then I don't know if you can see this, the hole. This is the back side of the pupil of the eye. Okay, so you're looking at it from the back side. The fluid in the front, that's the aqueous humor, the much more fluid stuff, the jello stuff from the back. It's your vitreous humor. So one fun thing you can do is you get up underneath the pupil with your blunt scissors, snip it to the edge, and then just take your finger and just gently peel it off. Okay? So when I do that, then what I'm holding in my hand, we're looking at the, what are we looking at? We're looking at the iris of the cow. So we can see the color of his eye, or her eye. He had brown eyes, and you can see the pupil too. And then in doing that, what we have left is, this is purely the cornea. Okay, so you can kind of see through it. So, those are the things that you can do. And after you've done those, if you want to try to cut the lens open, some students have done it in the past, that's fine. Use caution. It is hard, okay? But if you do it, you can see kind of layers, almost like rings of a tree, of like the layers where the lens has been put down, where it's been made, okay? And when you are finished, all materials go in the trash can, okay? And then you need to make sure